There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 2 of season 11 of the Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 series. I'm John Van Ree. With me is Mark Duggan. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, great, John. How are you? Good to be here. Haven't really seen much racing at this track for quite a while, so be interesting to see how the boys go tonight.
Looking forward to seeing how they all pan out. Smallish field again. During an off week for Scop Series. I know a lot of these boys get burnt out, but we're racing tonight from the Fuji circuit. And it is a sensational little track, and it starts on one of the longest start-finish straights that we have to deal with, where we head down into the aptly named right-hander called first corner, and then we sweep through second corner into Coca-Cola, where you really need to hit the curb right to get the drive through into the 100R corner, which is really a two-part corner through turns 4 and 5, and then pull it up into the hairpin, where then you need to accelerate out through 7 with the car unbalanced, is just turning through 8 into the fast-flowing 300R, and then we are doing the no chicane layout of the circuit. So you need to hit the curb at Dunlop, ride the car over it, get it up the hill into the reverse camber crest of turn 11, and then sweep through 12 up to nets, one of the hardest corners in iRacing, with a nice good 5 to 10 degree of reverse camber, and come out at 13, sweep the car up through Panasonic, and then back down along that big long straightaway, get the draft, and hopefully be able to pull out and get the job done at turn 1 or first corner. It's a tough track, Mark. Very technical for these boys to get right.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like a pretty simple layout on paper, but out on track it's a big different story.
We're looking to see some big performances. James Ross in this evening, James Scott, Jacob O'Reilly, Damien Johnstone, Teo Serrano, and down towards the back end, of course, we have Dave Coleman, Zac Rattary-White, Andrew Hoffman with us tonight, Steve Tonkin, Barella. So smaller field than what we get for the Pro Series rounds, but still a quality field. And definitely looking forward to this one, as these boys are about a minute away from starting their qualifying runs. So James, of course, the man to beat. But I think it'll be a good little battle between Ross, Rattray-White, O'Reilly. And just keep an eye out for one of the guys a bit further back, someone like a Stone Street. Might be able to put a bit of a surprise in here. And of course, the weather we have this evening is a beautiful 19 degrees centigrade temperature, air temperature. I think the hectopascals might be a little bit wrong. We have 49% humidity. It's a clear sky. Track temperature is only 24, so it's not the usual slip and grip that the guys are usually racing on here at East Coast. The hot surfaces. So this will be a very interesting one to see how these guys go with those temperatures. And that brings out the checkered flag on practice. And we get ready now to hit the track for Wally. And we just see who will be the first one out on track, just waiting. Of course, this track in the foothills of the famous Mount Fuji. As it looks like Ross might be the first one rolling out. Stone Street behind. Might jump on board Stone Street. Have a bit of a driver's perspective on this outlap as they try find themselves a bit of a gap. The Stone Street. Through turn 1. And you can see the undulations of the circuit. Not very steep, but enough to make it challenging. And a little bit of jockeying up front from these Vermeulen boys in ahead of this. Luke Greathead, Jacob O'Reilly, just in front of Stone Street. Like Jordan Ross has cleared out a bit from these lads. Stone Street definitely trying to work his way around. Of course, if you are watching out there on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Makes it a lot easier to be able to jump on and watch in the future, getting all of the notifications, etc. Stone Street now looking to get himself going on the accelerator. Over in the Panasonic. This is the corner I said you got to get the apex right, coming up over the crest. Down the straightaway. Getting the slipstream here with the two Vermeulen cars of O'Reilly and of course Greathead front. They just keep a bit of an eye on this one. Stone Street, I think, already a bit wide there. May have cost himself an off track. And Jordan Ross is the man first out though. He's already set the first purple sector. Pink sector. The pink car. Synergy Sim Racing. See what Ross the Boss can do here. Through Dunlop up on the curb. And now over the crest. Be careful not to carry the car too wide out to the left there. Yellow ripple strip will damage the car. As he now heads up into Panasonic. And he'll be the first one to set a time here. Get us up and running. Jordan Ross heading to take the flag on this lap. And that will see him with the time to come up with a 1:35.059. That's a good little start there. O'Reilly's probably going to be the next man across. We might jump on to James Scott though. He's coming through Panasonic. Lining it up now. He's got a purple sector in that second sector. Let's see what Scott can do. King of the plug and play. Scott goes a 1:34.5. Teo Serrano with a 1:34.9. A couple of boys peeling off in the background, so obviously they got it 1x in that lap. Joe Marnie in 8th at the moment. Jeff Thomas in 5th. Great result for the Super 2 driver there. Let's just roll back a little bit. Andrew Hoffman, I think, is going to be the last one coming across the line. And Hoffman rolls in with his time, putting him in 12th. Still waiting for a time from Stone Street. He's rolling back out. Didn't get one in that first attempt. Varela hasn't got a time on the board either. Keep an eye out for him. So, to see how he goes. Keeping an eye on this one.
That was a great lap from Teo Serrano. I think that probably as high as he's been up in qualifying for East Coast to this point, but I'm sure there's going to be a bit of shuffling around once the boys get out and do another lap on some fresh tyres. So, but still, great lap from Teo to currently hold down P2.
And out to see Mahoney cross the line and Barella. Mahoney just up the road in front of him. And Barella drops in the 12th, Mahoney in the 10th, so that's a good start, getting those two Super 2 drivers on the board. Might just head back. Stone Street. About to start his lap. Was had that off track very early on coming out of turn 2. He is away. What we might do is we might jump on board. Bit of a look from the gyro. Gonna have some cars coming out to get their lap in front of him. Oh, he looks a little loose. He's a bit sideways there. Not too healthy or the right way to do it.
That's going to be back to the pits and another fresh set of tyres, I think, John.
Yep.
Probably slightly distracted from them boys coming out of pit lane, but still he wasn't up on them yet, but he probably just got slightly distracted and just missed his brake marker. Not by much, but that's all it takes.
It doesn't take much at all. It is a very tricky corner because it does fall away after you go past the apex as well, which helps drive the back of the car out. As we said, it's a very technical circuit and it will basically make it rather difficult for you to drive it through. I really like this track. It's really going to test a lot of drivers out tonight, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Typical Japanese track, always. All their tracks are very technical in nature, and Suzuka, this place, Fuji, they are all very technical. And like you said, John, this has got this big, long straight, probably one of the longest straights we've got. Stone Street's going to keep going. He wants to get a banker in, so he must not have got a 1X on that slide.
They're definitely trying to get himself through.
Doesn't record a time, so he did get that 1X, but he's going to push on this lap and try and set a time, I guess.
Oh, it doesn't hurt.
Probably had time to get into the pits that time round and get another fresh set of tyres, but he clearly just feels like he needs to get a lap on the board at the moment.
Oh, we'll see who else. James Scott is the man on track at the moment, leading us around, and he is on another flyer here. Purple, sorry, Jordan Ross is the one I'm looking for, not James Scott. Jordan Ross with a purple sector and a green sector. And in the final sector now, can he go quicker? Needs to close that 900th gap up onto Teo. Looking to try and push a bit closer to Scott. Looks like he's got it connected here. And what does Jordan Ross do here? He goes a little bit quicker. He knocks Serrano off the front row. Be quite happy with that. Teo, of course, he's rolling around at the moment.
Nice lap from Jordan. Just a couple of tenths away from James Scott now, and like you say, displaces Teo Serrano off the front row, but Teo's still sitting in a good position in P3 with his teammate Jacob O'Reilly next to him.
And let's see what he does here. brings into the lane. Rattary-White still on the circuit. Jordan Ross, thought he'd be on an in-lap here. He's gone purple sector, that first sector. And now orange and the rest, so he's backing it off. So these boys probably have one more crack at it. They got 4.5 minutes to go in this session. So Ross will be heading into the pits. James Scott as well. He's trying to find somebody circulating at the moment. So Mahoney's, oh, hang on to it, Joe. Joe Mahoney's done very well there. Staying well out of the way. A few boys rolling through the lane. Stone Street, I think he's still heading back in, so he's going to have to push very hard to get himself around. One man we haven't spoken to sitting in the back of this qualifying session is Dave Coleman. He hasn't set a lap yet. Barella's got a time on the board. And so is Hoffman, Tonkin, JWM driver. A few of our Super 2 boys are already having a bit of a crack. There's a lot of these guys starting to head on their outlap. Lewis Greathead. Here's another.
Jordan Ross as well, just heading out of the pits for another crack at pole position. Jordan been driving pretty well over the past 12 months, but he's had a fair bit of bad luck following, so be good to see Jordan get a trouble-free run tonight and see if he can push James Scott a bit.
Yeah, big ask, but Ross the Boss would be up to the challenge, I think. A little bit unlucky on last Wednesday night at the Pro Series at Watkins Glen. Been caught out with some technical issues. And of course, keep an eye, only a smaller field, but still keep an eye on that damage model as well. We're still seeing some interesting things happening with that after watching Scops on Sunday night. Of course, the bets are here with big fields, 50 in each split, 3 splits. So it'll be interesting to see how the damage model plays out with big fields on the track as well.
There's a couple of minutes to go, John, a minute and a half, and the boys who are out on track are going to get one more crack at this layout. James Scott just backing right off to let a couple of boys through. Jacob O'Reilly.
And Ross is having a crack. Might jump on Justin Wallace. We haven't spoken about him. Another one of the BE Electrical Race on Oz entries. A little bit slower in that first sector. Does he go green in this last sector to improve his time? And yes, he does. Jumps himself up into the top 10. Great little effort there. Steve Tonkin behind. He's still sitting in 12. Lewis Greathead, the man that's sitting in 8th at the moment. 9th at the moment, sorry. Another one of the Vermeulen drivers. He goes across the line, but doesn't improve his position. Still sitting in 9th. The man at the moment setting the time on his flying lap. He is, of course, James Scott. Few cars tucked up behind. The flag is out. So whatever they cross the line with now is what they're going to have.
Yep, Jordan Ross just bails on his lap, so he's going to stay. He's got that time of 1:34.759. He's not going to change that one.
James Scott, they're getting airborne coming through Dunlop. Toes it up through the crest.
He's got Jacob O'Reilly behind him. Jacob will be really trying to hang on here and try and get a little bit of a toe down the straight if he can.
A little bit of overdrive going through the second last corner. May hurt him here. But Scott coming down the straightaway. Purple in the middle sector. He's about to set his time. Goes slower in the final sector, so he doesn't improve. He stays at 1:34.34. O'Reilly up into fourth. Serrano's going to lock in third spot, meaning Jordan Ross probably hang on to second here on the front row. A great little effort there from Ross the boss. And Stone Street is, I think, our last car on track. Coming through the notorious Dunlop curve. Up the hill. But sounds like he is bailed out. He's already got his time. Joe Marnie just pulling it up. That is everyone pulled up. So let's roll to the grid. And is it going to roll up for me? Here it is. So on pole from Speed Cafe Lobs Esport is James Scott with a 1:34.341. Lining up alongside him from Synergy Sim Racing is Jordan Ross. On the second row, we have a Vermeulen Motorsports lockout with Teo Serrano and Jacob O'Reilly. And then in fifth, we have their teammate, Zac Rattary-White. In sixth, we've got the first of our Super 2 drivers. A great effort from Jeff Thomas. Don't rule out the wily veteran driver there. Keep an eye on the fourth row for Damien Johnstone from Synergy Sim Racing and Zachary Vlasbom from Vermeulen Motorsports. And then on the fifth row is Joe Marnie lining up alongside Troy Stone Street from WK&P. And then from Vermeulen Motorsports on the sixth row is Lewis Greathead and BE Electrical Race on Oz, Justin Wallace. And then if we go over to, whoops, I hit the wrong button. And go over the page. That's the right button now. We have we have Justin Wallace and BE Electrical lining up alongside Martin Lofthouse. Steve Tonkin from JWM Motorsports lining up alongside WK&P's Ash Barella. Andrew Hoffman from WK&P in ninth is going to line up alongside the one and only Dave Coleman. Keep an eye out for Dave. Likes to start down the back, work his way through. And then, of course, our safety car driver is Matt McMillan and race control is Richard Barella. So definitely going to be an interesting race, this one, I think, Mark. Smaller field. Expect these boys still to be just as battling. As you can see, it is a long, long start straight away at this place. These guys will all be contesting for. And the draft is very important, particularly with the length of start-finish straight.
Yeah, definitely going to be a tough old race for the boys. I think tyre wear could be a factor too with all the technical corners and the off-camber corners and the way the car unloads itself. So tyre management's going to be critical. But as usual, James Scott setting the standard, and great to see Jordan Ross up there as well on the front row.
Yeah, I think Jordan will take a bit away from this, but needs to now convert it into the race itself. It's probably got about 15 seconds to go before we get away here. Just be interesting to see. Keep an eye. There's plenty of battles down the back for the Super 2 guys. Thomas, of course, setting himself up in 6th. He's got the jump on Joe Marnie. Roy Stone Street back in 10th. Definitely a big battle for the Super 2 lads. As we're about to go. Lights are on. 3, 4, 5, 6. Lights are out and we're away. It's a great jump from James Scott, but Jordan Ross coming back at him. boxing him out, holding the inside position. Looks like Ross will get the job done into turn 1. 3 or 4 wide back. Just keep an eye on those. So they sort themselves out. Ross still side by side with Scott. Heading down into Coca-Cola. Looks like Scott has got the job done now. We've got his position back. A few cars spearing off wide there. I think O'Reilly and Jeff Thomas involved in that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they were actually involved together or they were involved in separate incidents, but they've both gone off track, so I'm not sure what happened with Jeff Thomas, but I'm pretty sure O'Reilly and Thomas were involved in separate incidents there.
Let's just quickly go to the Supercheap Auto replay. We'll come back to this opening lap in a second. It's like O'Reilly has... Oh, O'Reilly's clipped off the curb and Thomas is involved in something else altogether. And he's got 2 Vermeulen motor cars behind him. A little bit of a tap into the fence. A little bit unlucky for Jeff, and of course the new damaged model losing the front end, and I'd probably say lost power as well and towed early. Right, back to the race. James Scott is in front of Jordan Ross. A little bit of weaving. Oh, turning in the background. Another one of the JWM boys. I think that might have been Lofthouse this time. He's stationary on the back of the circuit. Looks like he's got himself going. As Ross has a look on Scott. Scott's got him covered. And side by side again. A little bit of wiggle room there from Ross trying to make some space. Good side by side racing from these two. Just going to have a quick look at what happened to Lofthouse.
I think he had Ash Barella next to him and he probably didn't realise that Ash had overlap on him and he just kept coming across on Ash, and unfortunately it looks like he has injured himself in that one because Ash was there and Ash, you know, is entitled to some racing room.
Yep. It's a tough corner, the old final corner here. It's got a couple of different lines and you can get caught out like that if you're not careful. Scott doing very well. He's going to jump back. Lewis Greathead is up 3 spots into 8th. It's a good little battle pack here starting to form from Rattray-White all the way back to Stone Street. Justin Wallace has done very well. He's sitting in this group here in 6th.
Looks like James Scott and Jordan Ross have cleared out at the moment. It's a reasonable gap on Rattray-White, but if Rattray-White can stay in that tow, he might be able to pull that back.
Yeah, trying to work on that. O'Reilly setting the fastest lap for the evening so far with a 1:35.81. Shane Patterson was research for the broadcast. And continuing on lap 3 here, so definitely still some good battles here. Teo Serrano knocking on the door of Wallace. Zac Rattray-White dropping off a little bit. He's about 1.3 seconds back now from Jordan Ross. And definitely riding the curves there very hard. Let's go a little bit further back, Stone Street behind Marnie.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know whether bouncing and hitting them curbs so hard is going to cause any damage to the suspension with this new damaged model. So we'll probably find out when people start pitting and see how long their pit stops are.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to get to that stage.
Damien Johnson from Synergy Sim Racing, currently sitting P4, doing a good job. Not quite right on the back of Rattray-White, but certainly sitting in the tow and doing a great job, and he'd probably close that gap considerably by the end of that front straight. But what about Jacob O'Reilly? Off on the first lap and then setting the fastest lap of the race on the second lap. So he's obviously got good speed in that car.
Doing very, very well is O'Reilly. He's got that gap now back to 3 seconds to Hoffman, so he's just about back in traffic again now. A good little comeback.
He'd be desperate for a safety car to try and close that first ride up and get back into the pack. But still plenty of laps to go. It's a long, fairly long lap, over a minute and a half, so we've still got 41 and a half laps to go, so plenty of time for Jacob to work his way back.
So definitely rolling it through. Very well. Just going to go back to Lewis Greathead. He's definitely trying to chase down Wallace. See that balance of the throttle. It's on to the long straightaway now. Needs to try and close that gap up. Make the most of the slipstream in this part here. Zac Rattary-White going down the lane. Could be an early penalty or some damage. Wait and see if he rolls out. Greathead here, putting a lot of pressure on Wallace.
Looks like Rattray-White was given a drive-through penalty for contact on car 43.
Yeah, that would have been the incident with Jeff Thomas. Was Thomas mistakenly jumping back to the pits out of the race? Greathead here, looking very composed, not overdriving the car.
No, doing a solid job, John. He's in a very, very good team, and he's got plenty of good teammates and drivers around him. And this is his first season with us here, and yeah, I'm sure he's looking to build a nice platform for the V8s, and yeah, keep building this team, because it's certainly a team on the move, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. As that's an onboard lap. Of course, the other close battle at the moment is Zachary Vlasbaum, managing to hold off Justin Wallace. And Teo Serrano behind him.
Yep, Zach's a very, very solid driver, been with us for a few seasons now, and doing a very, very good job tonight, sitting currently in P4, so he's a hard worker, he's a good clean racer, and yeah, he's doing a great job out there tonight on this very technical and difficult track.
Looking very solid. Teo here getting much closer.
Yeah, Teo had a very, very good qualifying. Not sure what happened with him off the start. I think he started from P4, P3. Currently sitting in P5, lost a couple of spots, probably in that mix-up with Rattray-White and Jeff Thomas and Jacob O'Reilly going off, but he's managed to get past Zac Rattary-White, who's a little bit wide on the final corner, and that puts Teo up into P4 once he crosses the line.
Hey, definitely some good racy driving going on here. Lap 7 of 45, so still plenty of distance to go. James Scott leading from Jordan Ross. Damien Johnstone from Synergy Sim Racing up 4 spots in third. And then, of course, we have this man, Teo Serrano, followed by Zach Glassbaum, Justin Wallace, Lewis Greathead, Joe Marnie, Troy Stone Street, Steve Tonkin. So that rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, this mid pack in the top 10 here, John, pretty tight battle at the moment. We've got Serrano, Glassbaum, Justin Wallace, Lewis Greathead, Joe Mahoney, and Troy Stone Street, all fairly close, as well as Steve Tompkins, not too far behind as well. So this battle pack is pretty tight, and I think anybody who makes a mistake will find themselves losing 5 or 6 spots very quickly.
Definitely got to be careful still.
I'll tell you one person who is almost on the back of this pack, and that's Jacob O'Reilly. He's absolutely driven the wheels off thing after that early incident on lap 1, and he is probably only a couple of laps off getting on the back of this group in front of him and getting back inside that top 10. So Jacob doing a brilliant job fighting back here.
Yeah, doing really well. Put it in perspective, his lap time this time by would have put him in faster than everybody else except for James Scott. So he's absolutely flying.
Like I say, he's got plenty of speed in that car, and probably would be ruin the fact that that lap 1 incident has put him all the way at the back of the field, and he's had to use up probably a little bit more of the car than he would want, but he's certainly doing a great job fighting back.
Doing very, very well. Let's check in on our man Lewis Greathead. Glassbaum, O'Reilly's teammate. He's nicely in this 4-car train here. All the way back to Stone Street.
Problem for these boys now on this big long straight is they're all getting a toe off each other, so everybody's kind of cancelling each other out with the toe, but they're still very, very closely matched, and like I said, it won't be long before Jacob O'Reilly joins this group, and that's certainly going to make it interesting because Jacob will be trying to get through very quickly if he can.
He won't be too far away. Marnie using all the circuit there. Through R300. In the Dunlop. Pull it up, get it over the curb. Line it up, don't go too wide up the hill here. You can see, can't see the apex. Can't see the rear apex there. You've got to balance the car to get it across. Up into the penultimate corner here. Reverse camber, the car wants to slide out. Get it back under control and then hook it in through Panasonic. See multiple lines through Panasonic where you need to get good acceleration down this straightaway.
Yeah, sorry, John. I think I just watched 4 cars go through there, and every one of them had a slightly different line. So it's all about getting that drive off the corner and getting back to 100% throttle as quickly as you can. Greathead just having a sniff here on Mahoney by the look of it. On its own, Justin Wallace, and does get the job done. That was a great move under brakes there.
Yeah, driving very well. Still a good little battle in this pack. James Scott in first is cleared out by 3.5 seconds from James Ross, is cleared out by 3.5 seconds to John Stone. 3.5 seconds back to Serrano, who is only 1.1.5 seconds up the road from this pack here. So these boys in the mid pack here for the top 10 having a great battle.
Yeah, this is where all the action is, John, and I think unfortunately we with Rattray-White getting that drive-through penalty and O'Reilly having that off on lap 1, that has really opened up the gap from probably P2, P3 all the way back to about P5. So them boys are certainly trying to make their way back through the field, but it's going to be a long, hard slog for them. This mid-pack top 10, like from 4th down to about 9th, it's very, very tight. Of course, the more these boys battle, the slower they're going to go, and that'll allow Rattray-White and O'Reilly to just keep closing that gap. So yeah, the more they battle, obviously the less inclined you are to set good lap times, trying to defend and trying to overtake.
And Rattray-White gets himself past Lofthouse. He's starting to work his way back through. And Marnie now under a bit of pressure from Stone Street.
Certainly plenty of corners where it looks like the back of the car just gets very light and lively, and you really have to manage that throttle application.
Yeah, it's the key to this track, is really looking after those rear tyres.
Here comes O'Reilly. He's just made his way past Tonkin, and he's not that far off the back of Troy Stone Street now. So Jacob certainly well and truly back inside the top 10 at the moment, and will be looking to make a few more positions once he gets on the back of Troy Stone Street.
And of course he was a lot faster. He was 7/10 quicker last lap than Stone Street, so I don't think it'll take him too long to close this down with those sort of speeds. And definitely attacking the circuit at the moment. Looking at these boys bunched up in front of him, going, I need a slice of this action.
Yeah, absolutely. The man who's really carving the circuit up at the moment is James Scott. He has well and truly cleared out from Jordan Ross. Jordan doing a great job still in P2, but James Scott, he's almost out of sight from Jordan now. He's really, really doing what we've seen him do the past few seasons and stamping his authority very early on in the race.
And close that gap down now. Now under 2 seconds.
Yep, and we've now got Zach Blasbaum and Lewis Greathead really fighting tooth and nail for P5 and 6 here at the moment, and that's going to allow Teo Serrano to probably stretch his legs a bit and open up that gap up while these two battle away.
It definitely opening up. Blasbom's split his legs a little bit. Pack having a ding-dong battle this evening.
Yeah, definitely not a lot in it between these 5 or 6 cars. They're very evenly matched at the moment. We're going to come down to who saved the most fuel by the look of it out of this group, who can get that pit stop done the quickest and get back out on track. Kind of feel like track position could be king tonight with a small field.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, if we were doing, there we go, 2 peeling in already, Stone Street.
Yep, lap 13, Troy Stone Street into the lane.
Yep.
O'Reilly as well, so O'Reilly looking for a bit of an undercut here to try and jump a couple of people in that group, I would say. Probably a pretty good tactic, I think, now that he's made his way back up onto the back of that group.
Yeah, definitely looking to get himself running on the jump. And seeing Hoffman and Barella and Thomas go, Hoffman and Barella go in as well.
It's a big long pit lane too, John, so just thinking about Rattray-White with that drive through, that would have really hurt his race tonight, because the pit lane, length of the pit lane is quite long, especially with the length of the straight.
Yeah. It will be interesting. I think, trying to remember that it was 60 or 80k lane. I think it might have actually been an 80k lane as well, so don't lose too much. But these guys here need to make hay while the sun shines, while those boys run down through pit lane. So for those following along at the home, Stone Street's back in 12th now, on lap 13 along with Jacob O'Reilly. O'Reilly's come out behind Stone Street still, but he'll be looking to close that gap down pretty quick.
Yeah, very short stops too for them two boys, only 10.7 and 11.1, so 10.7 for Stone Street, 11.1 for O'Reilly. Ash Barella in the lane, but he's been in there quite a while. I don't know if he's got damage or whether he got a black flag, but his pit lane time was over a minute, so I'm guessing he may have
had some damage, I think.
Sorry, though, I was talking about Ash Barella. Jeff Thomas, I think he's well and truly out, because he's still on the lane according to the timing screen, but he's been in there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, he towed on that lap 1 incident.
So Wallace, Blasbom, Tonkin all in the lane as well, so it'll be interesting to see whether Stone Street and O'Reilly have been able to jump him with that undercut.
He has.
They've
Here
both
they come
managed
out.
to get past, yeah.
This makes it a bit lively. Let's have a quick look at the pit times as well. Stone Street was 10.6, 11.2 to O'Reilly, 11.5, 11.5, 12.7, so all roughly within a stone throw of each other.
Yeah, not a lot of difference there at all, John, so sometimes we see quite a big variation, but tonight they're all fairly close in their stationary time there.
Definitely some tactics going into this one. Wallace under a lot of pressure from Blasbom.
Yeah, it looks like a Blasbom. Oh, Wallace sideways, he gathers it up, but he loses a position.
That's cost him.
Yeah, he was lucky there. He did manage to hang on to that in the end, and he only lost the one position, but just about to say, Blasbom seemed like he was the big loser out of that sequence of pit stops. He probably lost 3 or 4 positions there, so he would have been glad to see Justin Wallace get a little bit sideways and pick that one of them positions back up so quickly. Troy Stonestreet doing a magnificent job out there tonight. He's got Jacob O'Reilly behind him, and Jacob's been there for a couple of laps now since they pitted. But Troy's certainly doing a mega job out there to hold off Jacob. We know how quick Jacob has been, and Troy hasn't been doing a lot of V8 racing for a long time, but he has thrown himself in the deep end in a few leagues now, and he's really improved out of sight and doing a great job out there tonight.
Yep. Very solid. They might just jump up. Lewis Greathead now starting to come under a bit of pressure from Marnie. Up the inside. Nice move from Joe. You're pretty happy with that one?
Yeah, Lewis doing a good job there too. He knew Joe was coming and just left the wheel straight and allowed Joe a bit more space than he probably would have if we were still under the old damage model, but yeah, everybody's showing a little bit more caution, and yeah, well done to Lewis to not close the door, slam the door shut in both of their races.
And O'Reilly getting past Stone Street now, so he's starting to move forward again.
I think Stoney knew that was coming and just probably allowed Jacob to get through without too much trouble, and probably a wise move. Just sit behind Jacob, we know how quick he is, and try and let Jacob tow you up to the next car.
Yeah, play the smart game.
You definitely don't want to be using all your tyres up so shortly after pit stop, depending from a quicker driver. So you really have to pick your battles in these races and work out who you're really racing against and what you want to get out of the night, and just make sure you use your tyres and time wisely.
As Jordan Ross and Teo Serrano enter the lane. So this is the first move from the guys in P2 and P4 at the time. That sees John Stone continue on. James Scott, he is absolutely doing this like a cakewalk at the moment. He's sitting 13 seconds up the road from Damien Johnstone, Synergy Sim Racing, who has a handy little lead of 11.7 seconds from Lewis Greathead. Lewis first season here with us at East Coast, and he is doing really well this evening.
Again, Jordan Ross stop was 11.7, Teo Serrano 12.3. So again, all the boys stopping so far have been fairly close on stationary time. Shortest being Troy Stone Street, he was 10.7. So certainly not a lot in it. Generally we see some bigger differences in stationary times in other races, but clearly everybody's got the same idea tonight.
As these boys here still all bunched up. As Serrano gets past O'Reilly. Pressure tyres, John Stone into the pits. Of course, these boys still a fair way back from Jordan Ross. And seeing where John Stone rolls out here. Rattray-White's in the lane. Only leaving Scott, Greathead and Marnie as the guys that have not stopped yet. Up 19 of 45. Definitely gone a long way on this first set of tyres as our race leader.
Jordan Ross just made his way past Martin Lofthouse, got a little bit deep into turn one and almost gave it back up, but manages to get a drive out of the corner and hang on to that pass. So Jordan will certainly want to get a hurry on to avoid anybody else undercutting him.
Barney now on the back of Greathead. These boys going with the long first session.
Yeah, definitely going long on this one. We're not that far off half race distance. Currently on lap 19, about to start lap 20, and we're doing 45 laps. So looks like both these boys heading to the lane this time round.
Of course, very tricky lane enter as well. You come in with a fair bit of speed. Got to pull it up by the yellow cone here. Nicely does the job. And James Scott ahead in front of these lads.
We're just looking at the boys in the lane, so it's definitely a 60km/h pit lane, so that makes that long pit lane seem even longer.
So Jordan Ross resumes a position in P2. And Damien Johnstone now. He resume his position. Yes, he does. Teo Serrano does as well. Mahoney driving out. He shuffles down behind Stone Street. Does Wallace get him as well? Yes, he does. So definitely lost out going that longer session there. And Teo Serrano now starting to come under a little bit of pressure from Jacob O'Reilly.
Yeah, we saw Jacob let him through when Teo first come out of the pits. But yeah, Teo just went very deep on turn one and ran wide, and that's allowed Jacob to get right back on the back of him. So it'll be interesting to see how these two boys in the team handle this one. Teo's had good speed tonight, but yeah, we did see Jacob off on lap one, and he's had to fight his way back, and he's currently sitting in P8. So pretty good comeback from Jacob. Clearly got a lot of pace in the car.
Yeah, looking very solid. Still a long way to go. Lap 20 of 45, so not even half race distance yet. And Jacob O'Reilly. And Main Street. Still managing to hang on to the back of Lascombe, so don't rule him out. Keep an eye on Wallace behind him. Wallace was showing a little bit of pace before that first stop.
Sorry, John. Now most of the stops are done. Yeah, Teo Serrano back to P4. Jacob O'Reilly currently sitting in P5. Now that is a absolutely magnificent job to get back to P5 after that off on lap one. We've mentioned it a couple of times that he's had good pace in the car, but to get back to P5 so quickly could be a case of what might have been tonight for him.
Yeah, a little bit. Will be a little bit disappointing, but has fought back very well. Let's have a quick look at the fuel time. Scott was at 12.8, Ross 11.6, 13.5 for Johnstone. That's one to remember coming next round. Rano 12.3, O'Reilly 11.2, 11.5, 10.6 for Stone Street, 11.5, 11.7, 12.7. So that rounds out our top 10 in terms of fuel strategy. And to see Scott sets the fastest time for the race with the 1:34.994. Absolute cracker. Yeah, we can see how we go with those times, fuel stop times with Johnstone. He'll be the one to watch. He'll probably have a slightly shorter stop than everybody else next time around.
Yeah, great to see Damien out there doing such a good job. He's another one who's been a regular with us at East Coast. Had a couple of seasons where he didn't get a lot of racing in, but he's out here tonight, currently in P3, and thoroughly deserving of that position as well, because he's had good speed all night. And he's another one that always races really, really hard, but he seems like he's a bit like his team boss Jordan Ross. He's just been unlucky in a lot of races over the past year, and he'd be looking to change that luck and try and get some good solid positions, because the boys at Synergy, we know what a strong team they've got there, and how passionate they are about their racing, and just be good to see them to string together some nice results.
Looking forward to that. And of course, usually got a few Synergy supporters out there watching, Pete Kelleher and co. Definitely the boys having a good one tonight. Going to go back to Joe Marnie. He's just got past Justin Wallace. Both teammates, of course. I'm not sure whether the race on Oz Boys got in team orders or not, but Marnie absolutely flying.
Yeah, it looked like Justin Wallace trying to come straight back at him down the straight here, but these boys, they really don't want to be battling each other too much. It's just going to allow the cars in front to pull away and the cars behind to get a little bit closer. So Justin will be hoping Joe can set some good times and get them back towards the cars in front, but they definitely don't want to be fighting amongst each other at this stage of the race.
Definitely a bit of a battle to get themselves back to Stone Street. It's about 5 seconds up the road. They'd need to work together, these lads.
The other one from the Vermeulen Esports stable, Zac Rattary-White. We saw him get a drive-through penalty after that contact with Jeff Thomas on lap 1. And as we mentioned, that big long pit lane, that really hurt him, and he's fallen way back off the back of the leaders, but he's just made his way past Steve Tonkin to, I think that will put him just inside the top 10 now. So Zach doing a good job, and he can actually see the boys in front, Justin Wallace and Joe Mahoney. So that's going to give him incentive to keep on pushing and try and get latch onto the back of them boys, and cement his place inside the top 10 for the evening.
Yeah, definitely driving well, all these Vermeulen lads. Not on the lucky end of the stick this week.
Not sure what's happened to Lewis Greathead. He was in a pretty solid position prior to them pit stops, but he's dropped back down to P13 at the moment, so might have to just go and look at his pits times and just see if there was an issue for him or whether he had an off, but certainly he was a lot further up than where he is at the moment.
Just throwing it up on the screen. Greathead was stopped stationary for 50 seconds, so I'd probably say 50.7, probably a fair chance, Mark. You got to drive through, a pit lane infringement.
Yeah, looking like he probably got to stop and hold there. So yeah, that's a very easy way to cripple your night, that's for sure. Yeah,
particularly with those 60k pit limit. So that puts him 13 seconds back off Lofthouse, still ahead of Hoffman, who had a bit of time in the pits earlier on. And of course, these guys definitely now lap 30, if you're doing the split strategy, will be your next pit stop. We put up the pit graphic here. We can see Scott went 19, Ross 17, Johnstone 18, Serrano 17, O'Reilly was 13, so probably expect him in, I think, around lap 30. Vlasbom went 14, Stone Street 13, Marnie went the 19 as well, and then Wallace was 14, Rattary-White 18. So these boys, bit of work to be done, but I think the smart play, we definitely in that tyre strategy, I think, just trying to determine when you're going to maximise maximise that strategy for the next set of tyres. Of course, Scott and Co at 19 only really need to get 12, 13 laps out of a set of tyres moving forward for the rest of the race. So keep an eye on their times as they do that.
That's one thing we have seen in previous seasons where James has been able to stretch his lead over the field. He just can absolutely dictate whatever he wants to do in the pit lane, and we often see him go very, very long, and it never harms his strategy, and he's been able to do the same tonight. Just looking at Joe Mahoney and Justin Wallace, Joe's actually been able to open that gap up over Justin, so clearly when Justin allowed Joe pass, he knew that Joe had some good speed in that car, and Joe's been able to open up probably half a dozen car lengths on him, so Joe looking to get forward and get onto the back of Troy Stone Street.
Yeah, and Serrano just got a little bit loose there a minute ago. It's allowed O'Reilly to get past into 4th spot. So great comeback from O'Reilly, back to where he started. But a long way, a lot of work done. So probably a case of what could have been, I think. But
yeah,
still,
absolutely.
But I don't think he's done yet, to be honest.
No, definitely not done yet. He'll be salivating at the thought of getting on the podium after such a bad start to the night, going off on lap 1 and losing a ton of positions. Not that far off Damien Johnson. We know Damien probably one of the longest stoppers in that first round of stops, so that may allow Damien to create a little bit of a buffer come second round of pit stop. But yeah, Jacob certainly not a long way back off him, and looking at lap times, last lap Jacob was a 1:36.657, and Damien Johnson was about a 100th of a second quicker, so absolutely nothing in it between these boys.
Teo here needs to work very hard to hang on, ride the coattails of O'Reilly. Maybe he can drag him up the board to John Stone. That'll be the game plan here, I think, for Teo.
Yeah, Teo's certainly doing a good job tonight. It's probably one of the better nights I've seen him here at East Coast. His qualifying performance was outstanding, and showing great race pace as well. So Teo's certainly in a solid team with a lot of great drivers around him, and yeah, he's clearly loving the fact that he's in such a strong team and developing nicely himself.
Yeah, the Vermeulen boys definitely out in numbers and definitely improving as a group. Of course, the likes of Andrew Gilliam involved. Getting some good coaching from him.
Yeah, they've recruited really well. They've got a very, very solid team. So, and it just looks like they're all working together nicely now. It's a very young team, and I expect them to just improve with age. Like I said, they've recruited very, very strongly, and they've got some great drivers in that lineup.
Yeah, Ben Faulkner's done very well organising them. Did race many years ago around COVID in a series with Ben, so has been around the sim community for a fair while.
Now that Zac Rattary-White has managed to get all the way up to the back of Justin Wallace. He's getting a big toe down the front straight as we speak, and probably looking to get the move down into turn 1 here. He gets up alongside Wallace, and yeah, makes it look very, very easy in the end.
And Wallace not putting up a battle there, probably knowing that he hasn't got the pace to match Rattray-White. Rattray-White now have the nose down, looking at Mahoney up ahead. So James Scott, our race leader, he's got himself out to a 12-second gap now over Jordan Ross. Ross is 10 seconds ahead of his teammate Damien Johnstone, who's 3 seconds ahead of Jacob O'Reilly. So keep a little bit of an eye on that 3.3 seconds. Expect that may close over the next few laps. O'Reilly on an absolute comeback tour in this race here this evening. He has driven the wheels off his ZB, and I think he'd be pretty chuffed with the results he's getting, but also disappointed knowing what could have been, I think, as Hoffman and Barella go in for their final stop.
Yep, so we're on lap 29 at the moment, and like you said, John, lap 30 will be probably the lap we may see Jacob O'Reilly come in. After one more lap, Jordan Ross doing a good job. Currently about 12 seconds back off James Scott, and just goes to show you James is back in that form that we saw over the last 3 or 4 seasons where he has just been absolutely untouchable.
Yeah, one of the leading V8 drivers in the Australian community, James Scott. An absolute masterclass again here this evening. Of course, backed by the likes of Jared Filsell, Brody Kostecki and Shane Van Gisbergen. So it does get plenty of coaching and does put in a lot of work. He'll tell us tonight, not being a circuit used in the Pro Series, he'll just tell us tonight he rocked up plug and play. But if this is plug and play, it really just shows the skill and ability he has, particularly when it comes to those Pro Series races.
Yeah, you look at his qualifying speed, and you look at his race laps. I mean, he came out of the pits on lap 20, pitted lap 20, set his fastest lap of the race on 21 with a 1:34.994. Then he's done a 35.2, a 35.5, a 35.5, 35.6, 35.6, 35.8, 35.7, 35.7. That's how you become so dominant with that absolute consistency. It's incredible how consistent he can be.
And Rattray-White's just got himself past Joe Marnie. So he's moving up the field as well.
Yeah, sometimes these races when you get that drive through, you make that mistake early on and you've got to fight your way back from the rear of the field and you feel like there's not a lot to play for. Sometimes they're the most enjoyable drives where you're absolutely just focused on doing whatever you can to get to the back of the car in front of you, and I think we're seeing that from Rattray-White and Jacob O'Reilly tonight, where they've suffered on lap 1 but they've just put their head down and given it everything for the last 30 laps.
They have driven well. Just keeping an eye on that Damien Johnstone O'Reilly gap. It's now down to 2.9 seconds, so 4/10 it's closed up. So Johnstone definitely be looking to get a second or two out of this next pit stop when it happens. Can't be too far away. And O'Reilly definitely got the bit between the teeth and going hard here as Rattray-White pits. They're starting to see some of these guys roll down the lane.
Definitely think we might see Damien Johnson pit possibly this lap. He will really want to be on fresh tyres at the same time, or if not a lap before Jacob O'Reilly, to not allow Jacob to get any form of undercut on the second stop.
And to maximise on that extra fuel that he put in earlier. Rattray-White, he's got himself back out on track. And O'Reilly's taken another 10th out of John Stone here.
Teo Serrano with a big move up the inside on the last corner on Jacob O'Reilly. Not sure. Looks like Jacob's heading for the lane, possibly. No. Serrano heading for the lane.
Big swing. That's the first one of those boys rolling in. Definitely going to start seeing this get interesting if he gets a good undercut out of it. Wallace in the lane as well.
I mean, talk about evenly matched. We've got last lap round, Damien Johnson a 1:37.054, Jacob O'Reilly a 1:37.039. So absolutely nothing in it in terms of lap times between those two.
Yeah, very, very close. Just going to drop back on to Stone Street. Troy looking here, get a little bit of a picture of what's going on around him. Just trying to see where Rattray-White, he's a little bit further back, 11th.
Troy's been in this battle with Zac Blasbaum pretty much since they both made their first stop. Blasbaum, both of the boys a little bit sideways coming out of the final corner, heading up the main straight. They both head for the lane, so yep. I think Troy was one of the shortest stoppers this time around, so this stop may hurt him a little bit. Oh, big lock up heading into the line.
So we got Johnstone and O'Reilly in the lane as well. Marnie goes past, stays out.
O'Reilly in the lane, Johnstone, Blasbaum, Stone Street, Steve Tonkin. A lot of boys pitting here on lap 33.
And Serrano running down. This is where it's going to get interesting. Johnstone's got himself back out on track. Serrano is going to get Stone Street. He's going to get Blasbaum. Doesn't get O'Reilly. Oh, he does. He gets O'Reilly. Just. So, did get the jump. O'Reilly got to get past his teammate again. And, of course, the three cars, Scott, Ross, Money, have not pitted yet. Everyone else rolling backwards all the way down to Lofthouse. Ratehead still have to pit, but it is definitely with 34 or 45 we're getting into the business end of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly going to be an interesting intra-team battle here with Teo Serrano and Jacob O'Reilly looking like they're going to be battling for that final step on the podium as things stand at the moment. So going to be very interesting to see how they play this one. Teo's had good pace all night, but we know how quick and what a great driver Jacob is since he joined us here on East Coast a couple of seasons ago. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
And Ross is in the lane on pit exit now. Should hopefully hold his spot from Johnstone, and he does. Riley showing some good speed in the draft there. A little bit wide. That, of course, is going to allow O'Reilly to have a look up the inside here. Get past though, but he goes wide again.
I'm not sure what's going on with Taylor. He's on the radio chatting to race control on and off here at the moment. He's not sure what the banter is going on there, but it's been a lengthy exchange and it's certainly distracted him from his job at hand.
Riley all over the back of Serrano here. Of course, teammates. But
I think... Sorry, John, I think Jake has been fairly generous to him on this current lap, giving him plenty of space and lifting a few times to allow Teo to hold his position. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the issue was with race control, but it was a very lengthy exchange.
As heading down the straightaway. And he's going down the lane. Been a penalty of some sort given to Serrano. I'm not sure what that's for.
Yeah, I haven't seen a pit lane penalty issued by race control, and I can't see anything from on the iRacing side of things, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe he didn't get his fuel, or I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. This pit time. Of course, he's in his box now, but it's definitely not showing.
He's not on the jack, so I'm not sure
What the go is.
Yeah, unusual one, and that's a real shame because it's probably the strongest drive we've seen from him thus far since he's been with us at East Coast, and that's now he's up on the jack, so I'm not sure what's going on, whether he's got a technical issue on his side of things, but he was in his box for probably 20 seconds at least before the car went up on the jacks.
Right, that is a bit weird. Interesting to know what's going on there. As we continue on here with on board with Joe Marnie, he's done his second stop. So he has been jumped by Tonkin and Wallace, so he's got a bit of battling to do to get himself forward again.
Teo Serrano still in the lane, so I'm not sure whether his night is done, but yeah, it's a little bit unusual, that one. It'll be interesting to see if we can get some info and find out what happened, but that certainly helped Jacob O'Reilly out. Should probably cement Jacob onto the podium as long as he can keep the car straight for another 8 laps or so.
Definitely running down the counter as we sit here with Marnie. James Scott in the lane now as well to have his final stop.
Of course, we did speak about Damien Johnston and O'Reilly and how close they were getting towards the back end of that last stint, and we did say Damien Johnston had probably the longest stop of everyone in that first pit stop, and that certainly played out the way we thought, because Damien's been able to open that gap up by another couple of seconds with a shorter pit stop.
Traffic as well getting involved in the middle of that one as well. Stone Street smoking. I'm not sure what's happened to Stone Street. Hasn't shown up in my list, so I think that's just been an engine failure by itself.
Yeah, it could have been a missed shift there, but he's looking like he's going to make it back to the lane unaided, so we're not going to see a safety car.
And Marnie about to get past Tonkin as Gonna go up the front, have a bit of a look. Of course, our race leader has managed to get his way past everybody up to P7. Work to do if he wants to get a few more. As it's been another great drive. Stone Street's got his fast repair. He's back out. So very lucky to manage to get himself back into the lane for that.
Yep, good lesson for the Vets boys there as well for Thursday night. Make sure you do not use that fast repair if you do not need to. Really need to keep that up your sleeve with this new damage model.
Yep. And Jordan Ross, the man running in second. He is nearly 14 seconds behind our race leader. He's driven a fairly quiet race, been fairly padded out. Not too many dramas. Damien Johnstone, he was under a lot of pressure early on. We did see O'Reilly close that gap to under 3 seconds before the second stops. That Johnstone has come out, looked after the car, and at the moment still sitting a good 5.7 seconds up the road, lap 38 of 45. So this race definitely starting to wind down. O'Reilly wants that foot on the podium. He's going to have to go hard for it, and we'll see whether he does. Of course, O'Reilly in fourth spot where he started, was caught out early in an incident and then managed to fight his way back. Probably one of the drives of the night, really. Glassbaum up 3 spots in 5th. Rattray-White, only again, he had a drive through early, I believe, and he definitely been fighting back from there. He's in 6th. Justin Wallace from the Electrical Race on Oz, he is up 5 spots in 7th. Joe Marnie is in 8th spot, up 1. Steve Tonkin from JWM, one of the young gun drivers from their team, and he has done really well this evening. He's up 5 spots in 9th, and then Martin Lofthouse, his teammate, up 3 spots, rounds out our top 10 as we start to get into the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, just looking at that, let's see, I don't think, we didn't see Dave Coleman on track, I don't believe, tonight. He was in the server, but doesn't look like he actually set any lap time. So
yeah, it's probably partially my fault. We were in a little race control administration meeting at 8 o'clock this evening, so he was working diligently with Bruce McLeod to try and sort out the race control spreadsheets. So obviously hoping to get into the server, but time didn't permit. I'd say is the story with Dave.
yeah, it's a shame, but a big thank you to Dave. Does a lot of work in the V8 Vets community, gives up a lot of his personal time to make sure race control runs smoothly, and yeah, it's a shame he didn't make it on track, but hopefully we'll see him back next week.
Yeah, I hope so. As
down to 6 laps to go, John. Certainly looking like at this stage James Scott's got this one wrapped up. He's got a 15-second lead over Jordan Ross, who is ahead of Damien Johnston, his teammate. So Synergy would be hoping to get that P2 and P3 on the podium tonight to give their spirits a bit of a lift in that team.
yeah, definitely be looking forward to that. Just noticing O'Reilly is closing that gap down. It's now down to 4.5 seconds. Could be too little too late, but just keep an eye on that. Probably drive the wheels off it to the end, Jacob.
Yeah, last time round he was about a bit over 0.3 of a second quicker than Damien, so certainly not enough lap speed in that to probably get him by the end of the lap with only a bit over 5 laps to go. So, but 5 laps is a long way around this circuit, very technical, easy to get the car sideways and lose a bunch of time very quickly. So certainly got to keep your concentration up all the way to the checkered flag.
It is a tough drive in these last laps. These boys, of course, been going at it for over an hour. A little bit of fatigue kicking in as well. Got the one long straightaway. It's about the only time you get a break. Rest of the circuit, you're going flat at it. There's that gap now, 4.5 seconds. They're probably not closing fast enough for what we like with 5 laps to go. But definitely a battle in there. Zac Rattary-White can jump on with him. He's closed it down to less than a second now to Vlasbom.
Yeah, just thinking of Zac Rattary-White. I was just scrolling through the field there. Great to see him up inside the top 10. You know, he works very hard. He's a good racer. He's here with us week in, week out. And he's another driver who's probably had a little bit more bad luck than what he would have wanted. Sometimes self-inflicted, but not always. And doing a great job out there tonight, currently sitting in P5, but he's got Zac Rattary-White coming at him pretty hard with just over 4 laps to go. So going to be hard work for him to hang on to that P5, but I'm sure Zac will. Oh, he almost makes contact.
A little bit of lap traffic there. Huffy, I think it was, on the blow-up. But he'd be feeling the pressure here. Rattray-White now will be looking to get in the draft.
See that gap closing. Every metre of track covered, that draft is enormous.
Backs out of it. And looks like Vlasbom got sucked into going deep. And that has allowed Rattray-White through.
Yep, I did hear Zac calling into race control just prior to the last corner. Probably got over distracted more than he needed to when he came up upon that lap traffic. I don't think there was a lot in it. The lap traffic stuck to the race line, which is probably what you want. You don't want them veering left and right. If they stay on the race line, you know where they're going to be. And yeah, probably just broke Zac's concentration a little bit there and allowed Rattray-White to dummy him and go a little bit deep under brakes into turn 1, and he gave up that position.
Yeah, definitely a bit of hard work going on. Just going to go back up, check that Johnstone O'Reilly gap. That's at 4.3, so I can't see that position changing without a mistake from Johnstone now. So 3 laps to go. James Scott, Ross, Johnstone is our podium.
Yeah, I think Johnstone, he was a 10th of a second quicker than O'Reilly. O'Reilly had been a little bit quicker previous 3 laps, but Johnstone was just a fraction quicker on that time around. So I would say that it's probably too little too late for Jacob to get back on the back of Johnstone unless there's a major issue with Johnstone's car somehow.
And Vlasbom now all over the back of Rattray-White, so he hasn't given that position up yet. He still hopes he might be able to get it back.
Yeah, Zac Vlasbom definitely one of them drivers who, like a dog with a bone, once he gets a sniff, he fights hard all the way to the end, which is what you want to see out of a driver. But you know the quality of Zac Rattary-White in front as well. He is certainly one of the good drivers in the V8's in the Australian side of iRacing. So Glassbone will certainly have his work cut out trying to get past him.
It's James Scott. He is still absolutely looking very composed here. 17-second lead, got nothing but. Really having a good night out.
Jacob O'Reilly, couple of tenths quicker that time than Damien Johnstone in front, but yeah, with only a couple of laps to go, I think it's like we said, it's too little too late for Jacob, but certainly been an absolutely phenomenal comeback after going almost all the way to the back of the grid after a lap 1 incident. And the same for Zac Rattary-White, got a drive through after an incident on lap 1 with Jeff Thomas, and he's had to come back through the field from the back of the pack as well. So these two boys have certainly earned their keep tonight with drives that probably will feel like they've worked their butts off and got no real reward for it, but the satisfaction will be that they had great pace in the car, and they've been able to get back through the field to cement themselves inside the top 5.
Oh, and definitely with some big races still to come this season, these boys would be pretty happy with that. James Scott starts the final lap. Of course, we're going to go from the wide open surfaces of a circuit like Fuji to the hustle and bustle of the Belle Isle Street Circuit in Detroit next week. I think we'll really give the new damage model a real workout with all of the concrete walls.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's going to really test that damage model out, but really looking forward to that one. Belle Isle always shows up some great racing.
And of course, 2 sprint races as well, just to make it more entertaining for our fan base out there watching. And of course, I believe there is also talk of a reverse grid as well, potentially. I think it was written down as 15 cars, so that will make it very interesting as James Scott comes into Panasonic for the final time, turns away from Mount Fuji to head down the straightaway. Been a clinical drive from the clinical driver. He has led it from flag to flag, and this proves that his plug and play method works for him very well, and he would have enjoyed that, I think. And of course, the man home in second is Jordan Ross, former teammate of James Scott, as JR comes across the line and sort of started on the front row beside him. And then we go to the man, the myth, the legend, Damien Johnstone. Great drive from Damien. He'd be wrapped being on the podium. Jacob O'Reilly, 2.7 seconds back. And Rattray-White has fought his way back up to 5th. I think he'd be pretty happy with that comeback as well. Blastbomb up 2 spots. He's going to bring it home in 6th position. Justin Wallace from Race on Oz, the electrical outfit, they have done very well. I think Justin will be pretty happy with that race. Joe Marnie, he's going to bring it home in 8th. Ahead of Steve Tonker from JWM. Great drive from Steve. And of course, his teammate Martin Lofthouse has already taken the flag in 10th position. So, been a tough night for a few of these boys, Mark, but they fought back pretty well. But James Scott has taken the flag.
Yeah, typical James Scott fashion. We did see Jordan Ross off the start line really try and unsettle James into turn 1, turn 2, but James, as we know, just hung tough, placed his car in the right position, managed to hold on the exit of turn 2, and once that happened, it was all over for the rest of the field. But still, great drive from Jordan to be in P2. Great to see him back on the podium. Like we said, the Synergy boys have seemed to have had a lot of bad luck over the last few races or the last season, and tonight they managed to get 2 cars on the podium with Damien Johnson. Been a long time since Damien been on the podium with us here at East Coast, and absolutely fantastic to see him back up there.
And we might start by having a chat, of course, to our race winner, James Scott. Congratulations on that one, James.
Thanks, mate.
The old plug and play is working very well for you still.
Yeah, no, it's pretty funny. I full arrive and drive this week, and the car felt really good. And last week, actually did proper practice, and the car felt terrible. So maybe I need to arrive and drive more often.
Yeah, there could be something said about that. How'd you find the layout, mate? Like it's got some really technical off-camber corners on it.
Yeah, I've never really raced here before. I think I've only ever done like a few laps on the other layout with the few more corners at the end of the lap. Yeah, no, I didn't mind it around here. It looked like there was a fair bit of difference with how much wing people were running, which it's always good when there's a bit of variability. It creates some good racing rather than everyone just running the same thing. So no, it was pretty good.
That was, and of course, the man in second is this the comeback we've all been waiting for, Mr. Jordan Ross.
Go, Richie.
How are you, mate?
Not bad. I'm very hungry.
Very hungry? You're always hungry.
Very hungry.
Man never stops eating. How'd you find it, Jordan?
Well, James was faster than me, and I was faster than the guys behind. So,
yeah, that's pretty obvious. Noticed early on that you sort of did a bit of panel rubbing or a bit of side by side with James. Looks like the car held up fairly well from that for both of you.
yeah, didn't die. All good. Bit of fun.
Fun?
I knew he was faster, so I was like, oh, well, I'm here. Might as well have a crack.
Yeah, no, it was interesting just to get the aspect of the damage model as well. That you can do a little bit of side by side stuff, which is still good to know. And Damien, welcome back to the podium, mate.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
Great drive. Little bit of pressure there in sort of the last third of the race with Jacob coming at you, and you seem to sort of had the pace to match it.
Yeah, I was just managing it. I didn't want to destroy the tyres. It was a good first lap. Everyone just fell off the track, so all got penalties. So obviously the other two were faster, and I was faster than the cars behind.
Not too easy. I'll save Jordan. Do you want to give a shout out for the team, mate?
Just all the guys at the team, mate. Synergy. Hobbo in particular. And good job, Damo.
Absolutely, great to see Damo back on the podium with us. Epic drive tonight, and yeah, good to see.
Yeah.
He's had a bit of bad luck over probably the last season, and great to see Synergy get 2 cars up here.
Yeah, and thanks to all you guys for putting it all on and doing the broadcast and all that stuff. Thank you.
Too easy, Jordan. Too easy, mate. James, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yep. All the guys at Lobs Esports, Speed Cafe, Riker Performance, Hybrid Racing Simulations. You guys for the broadcast. Yeah, everyone else out on the track was good fun.
Too easy. And next week, lads, I'll get your thoughts on this one. We have 2 27-lap races at Detroit Belle Isle, the road circuit. Top 15 reverse grid for the second race. Any thoughts?
Carnage.
Yeah, I'll turn up for that one.
I'll be there.
I'll definitely be testing the damage model. Yeah, I think it'll be a very interesting one to watch. Got 2 compulsory pit stops, so I'm assuming there'll be 1 in each race. Yeah, looking forward to that. Your
Sounds
thoughts?
good. I'll bring me bull bar.
Good to see you out with your elbows again. Anyway, on that note, what are your thoughts on that one, Mark?
Yeah, I certainly think Belle Isle's going to be interesting with the damage model, and especially if there's a reverse grid race, that could certainly turn the tables on the championship in terms of points, but hopefully most of the boys driving pretty cleanly since we've got the new damage model, and yeah, certainly looking forward to how it may pan out at Belle Isle. And yeah, big congratulations to James, another win, and yeah, just want to thank him. He turns up every week for us here at East Coast and puts on some great performances and always enjoyable to watch.
Absolutely is. Probably just finish off by saying, Matty McMillan, you better do some bloody practice. Much all I have on that note. We might wrap up the broadcast and see everybody again at 8:15 Thursday night for round 3 of season 11 Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 series from Belle Isle. Everybody then.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
And people who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, and that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name. Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super.